Hello guys, today tutorial is about this landscape painting. So I'm using my Himi or Mia gouache color, and I have 56 color in this set, and I'm going to paint on this Mosseri sketchbook. So let's start it. This video is real-time video, so you may prepare the materials and paint along with me. Or you want to watch the time-lapse video, you may click the link. I will put the link here and also the description box. Firstly, I'm going to do a quick sketch with a lighter color. So I use beige color. You may use either yellow color or green color. Dilute the paint with water and then just do a rough sketch very quickly. Sky, so I want to create a soft blue color. I start from white and then mix with a little bit of blue to make it a soft blue color. And normally I will spray some water on my palette because it is easier for me to add water to the paint when I am mixing the color, because if I take the water from the water jar, sometimes I might add too much water or not enough water because I can't see the level of the water in the water jar. But if I spray the palette with water, I can easily and accurately add a few drops of the water to the paint. Mixing the color, I start from the top of the painting, moving down. I usually will use this filbert brush to paint for big surface. You can also use a flat brush or filbert brush in bigger size to work with. Some white color, and I add a little bit of water to the pan to make it creamy and blend into the soft blue before the blue pan dry. Make sure the pan is creamy and easy to work with, not too thick or too dilute the paint, so you are able to create a perfect gradient for the sky. Because I want to create a sky in the morning, so for another side, which is left side of the sky, I'm going to add some lemon yellow. I mix yellow with white and I paint on the left side of the sky and blend it into the white color. You might see some sharp edges here, so I wash my brush and I'll go back into some white paint and just try and blend the edges here. The sky is perfect now, and next I'm going to paint the distant land, and I want to create a pale olive green, so I start from white and add some yellow, Prussian blue, and also some black. Usually I will on my palette to mix the color that I want, and I will make sure the color is accurate before I put it on my paper. And as you can see, this is too much blue, so I wash my brush and add more yellow to fix it. So now I start on the bottom of the distant land and then just gently put it on. Do you notice that I use the pointer part of the filbert brush to paint? This is just because I want to make sure that I will not paint outside of the horizontal line. And then I add more white and also yellow to make it lighter, and I add a bit of water to dilute the paint, and just paint on the upper part of the distant land and blend it to the pale olive green. Next step, I'm going to paint the tree behind the distant land, so I'm going to create some darker mixture. I add a little bit of black color to the olive green. So now I'm going to put on some darker olive green here. And I just brought the section of the tree here and use my brush to draw the trees, kind of like tapping or pointing on it. Smaller brush for the details of the trees, and I just use the brush to nudge up and down for adding some leaf of the trees. Going to paint the bushes in the middle ground and also the grass in the foreground. So I pick some olive green and add a little bit of water into the paint and just brought in this part. So I just use my brush, paint upward from the bottom line, and it will naturally create some texture, kind of like glass texture. And this is same for the grass in the foreground. Pick up some olive green and paint upward from the bottom. Next, I'm going to create a lighter mixture, so I add more yellow to the olive and to make it lighter. And because I want to create a less saturated result for the whole painting, and I don't want to use a sharp yellowish green color, so I add a bit of white to the yellowish olive to make it more purer and less saturated. And I'm just adding the white paint a little bit by a little bit until I get the color that I want, and I just put it on there, pan upward from the bottom and blend it with the dark olive green. I didn't wash my brush and I just pick up some dark olive green and blend the edges here. And I realized that the shadow part of the distant land is not dark enough, so I add a bit more black and I just brought in this part. And for the lightest tone of the busher, I add a bit more white and also yellow to make it lighter, and I also add a little bit of yellow ochre to make it a warm color. And now I put it on here and again pan upward from the bottom and make sure the color is covering the underneath layer, which is distant land, because the busher is in front of the distant land. And now I'm going to continue with the grass in the foreground, so I add a bit more black and yellow to the olive green, and also a bit more yellow ochre to make it something like green brown for the second tone of the grass. The paint is quite diluted, but it's okay because I will add one more layer on it later. So now I'm going to make another lighter color, so I add more yellow ochre into the olive green to make it lighter. This color seems quite close to golden brown because I want to make it looks like drying grass, so I add a bit more yellow ochre. And I just keep transitioning the layers here, and it is same as before. Pan the grass by pushing the brush upward from the bottom, and it will naturally create a texture looks like grass. And lastly, I add more white and also yellow to the yellow ochre to make it looks like yellow brown. Same as before, just adding the lighter color and keep transitioning and also blending the edges. Again, I didn't wash my brush and I just pick up the previous color and blend the edges here. Then I'm going to add one more layer, so I add a bit more dark olive green on the bottom. Don't push the brush too hard, just pushing the brush by little pressure. Then I use raw umber for the shadow part of the grass. I really use black color for the shadow because in my opinion, I think that raw umber is more suitable and it makes the shadow and also the whole painting more natural. So I just adding the raw umber at the bottom part and then keep transitioning the layers. My green brown was ran out, so I'm going to mix the color again. So same as before, I add some yellow and yellow ochre into olive green and also a little bit of black to create a green brown. And I just put it on there and blend it with olive green. After that, I'm going to paint the cloud on the sky. I have a tutorial video on how I paint the cloud. If you haven't checked it out, I will put the link here and also you may find the link in the description box. So you may watch it later to learn more how I paint the cloud. For the cloud, I start from pink color, so I add a little bit of primary red into white paint to create a soft pink color. And then I just put it on there and draw some basic shape of the cloud. It is kind of like tapping or pointing or writing an alphabet W to draw the cloud. I just paint the cloud very freely and randomly, and I add some lighter pink at the bottom of the cloud. Because the sunlight is coming from the left side of the painting, so I use pure yellow to draw the cloud for the left side of the sky and also blend it into pink color. And I wash my brush, then use the soft blue which I use for the sky to blend the edges of the cloud. I like to use this saber round brush to paint the cloud. because it is very soft and easier for me to blend the edges of the craft. Next, I'm going to add some trees on the distant land. I add a bit of black with dark olive green, and then I just draw the trees up by using the pointed part of the brush. Just make it simple, and we are not going to add more details on it because it is far away. And I also add darker olive on the bottom of the tree behind the distant land for the shadow of it. Next, I'm going to apply one more layer for the bushes. So I need more olive green. But this time I add a little bit of white, tinted down the olive green, because I want to create a less saturated and purer tone compared to the tone in the foreground. I just use the same technique as before. Pan upward for the bottom. Then I'm cleaning off this and add more pale yellow to make it a lighter tone. Sometimes I might mix the mixture with the pigment that left on my palette to create a new unique colors instead of wasting those pigments. But you can ignore this. Just make a lighter olive green and blend it with the previous color. Again, I didn't wash my brush. I just pick up some olive green and then try and blend it. Keep transitioning up, so I add more white color with yellow and also a little bit of water into the pan to dilute it, and a little bit of olive green. I don't know how to name this color because I also add a little bit of yellow ochre into the mixture, and I think it looks like dirty yellow, I guess. And it is same as before. Put it on the top part of the bushel. Make sure the glass is covering the underneath layer, because it is in front of the distant land. And use the olive green to blend the edge there. After that, I am going to add some details for the bushes. I use a small brush to draw the grass on it. At the same time, I soften the blend by drawing some vertical strokes. Also add a few brush strokes at the part of the darker tone. And I also use olive green to transition it. Moving on, I'm going to paint the tree in the foreground. I add a bit more black into olive green to make it a darker olive green, quite cross with black color, and then I use it to paint the basic shape of the trees. It is kind of like tapping or pointing to draw it up, and you can use different angles of the brush stroke to draw it. Also use the same color to paint downward into the grass in the foreground. It is because the grass in the foreground is in front of those trees, but the yellow-brown, which is the lightest tone of the grass, is difficult to cover the dark olive green. So I use the dark olive green to paint downward and to make it look like it is behind of the grass in the foreground. Now I'm going to apply another layer of the grass in the foreground. I use the same color to cover the underneath layer, which is the trees and also the bushes in the foreground, and to make the foreground pop up. details. For the grass, I use a lettering series brush, and you can also use a smaller brush. And I just use the different shade of the olive green to draw the grass or the leaf. Add a little bit of water to the pen as you find that it is difficult to draw the line. And lastly, use the sand yellow brown to add some highlight of the grass. For the trees, I used a lighter tone, which is olive green, to add some leaf on the trees. I'm using the same brush, which is the smallest brush, to draw the details. Then I add a bit more yellow to create a yellowish olive green. And put it on the left side of the trees. Because the sunlight is coming from left, so the left side of the tree is brighter and lighter. yellow to add the highlights for the trees. I'm going to draw the branches of the trees. To increase the consistency of the pen, you can add a little bit of water and it will become easier to draw the line. After that, I add some leaf on the branches by using the olive green. There are different shades of the leaf, big and small, and different angles. Then I use yellowish olive green to add more leaf on it. details with white paint. The details of the painting may take a long time to complete, but be patient and trust the process, and the results will amaze you. And I like to use splattering technique to decorate my painting. This is my favorite part. I cover the upper part of the painting and splatter it with white paint.